they don't want to take a fight during that time. The Storm is already the thorn in your side, and with the DD rune, it's going to be almost impossible to stop him, and EG are just going to back up a little bit.
He's going out.
He's just trying to force an overreaction right now and force them back. Then he'll TP out, create a little bit more space for his team, for them to get farm for this one big Roche fight.
It's kind of reminiscent of how he played the Ember Spirit against Cloud9, where he was just ratting a lot. Now, granted, they were very far behind in that game, but using a Blink Dagger to just get away with murder in terms of his mobility. And going back to the draft, it is a pretty good Storm game here. The catch is not the best for EG. They've got no Hex as of yet. A very long cooldown stun in Black Hole. And maybe he's starting to take advantage of that with his map movements.
It's really hard to stop a Storm in this phase of the game when you have to play reactively. There's no single hero that's really going to threaten him anymore. Even if Sumail goes by himself up there, he's probably not going to find the kill. He needs probably at least 2 heroes, maybe 3, and one of them can't be PvD. So you have to expend all of those cores just to deal with the possibility of maybe you kill the Storm Spirit. There's a high likelihood that he goes for the suicide at the same time.
And then also there's the global counterplay.
Yes,
the threat that they're all behind him. It is a lot. Oh, PPD, the man caught out mid, maybe just a freebie. You just can't be off on your own against this Storm without knowing where he is.
And that's what we're talking about, because EG showed themselves at top, pushing his 4. PPD shows himself in the mid lane, and maybe he's got the farm to do it. He can pretty much just pop you from full, especially with that DD rune.
14 Bloodstone charges here for the young star. And he just confidently struts up into enemy territory. He's going to sell the bottle now, up to 5k gold. And he picks up a Void Stone. So, very likely it could be that Hex.
It'll almost
send a courier out. Do they maybe get a courier snipe here, though? They do have Sumail in the neighborhood. That would be huge. But courier not heading that way just yet.
And Yao actually using it for himself. As maybe says, no, you got to get me my Hex first.
They start fighting over the courier.
They probably just
rage pause the game.
It happens, but now they've got a
even
Hex
pros.
on the Storm.
Even pros.
EG's in a really weird situation right now, LD, because they've still got the mid lane they can push. It's an open, exposed set of racks. They've got the dire side advantage, so they can just commit buybacks over and over again to take the Roshan. LGD can't do the same, but at the same time, LGD can stay split on the map just because the threat of maybe alone is forcing EG to group up, and this means that EG actually have to start going for objectives here, because you don't want to just get out-farmed across the map. And that means the Roshan is going to be the huge fight for them.
It's still neck and neck here in terms of gold, in terms of experience down the stretch. Only a 3k gold lead for EG. It's never been more than 4. And the experience about this has to be the closest game of the main event in terms of the swings. They've been basically nothing, and no objectives fully claimed yet. Towers, yes. Roach, yes. But Rax, no. Fear getting scouted out here by Rocket, but a tough here to focus. They're going to go in now with the hook shot, immediately pushing AU at 2000 back, forcing out the Sumail BKB, after which the global #1 will come out, and Sumail unable to Laguna during this time, maybe up to the Igar, they'll kill up PPD almost. The snowball going to save him. They snowball their way after this Storm, but he stays alive for now. PPD back in for maybe. Walrus punch. Do they have the backup? There's another global at the ready, maybe. Not Laguna, and will end up suiciding. So they hold that secondary global. Xiao Wei hooked down to the low ground, but he's fighting against Fear. And he can't do it alone. They're going to lose Xiao Wei as well. Nobody else in position to help. We didn't get the echo in that fight. The gyrocopter not able to get the job done here for EG. They do hold a global. That was something they'll have for the high ground, and everyone should be up. But Blitz, now they give up an Aegis. And there's still a Black Hole ready for EG.
Sumail hasn't used the Refresher Orb yet. He still does have that double ultimate they can instantly use to blow somebody up. At the same time, this time around, Stormster won't have the buyback available to him. He's just lost the majority of his Bloodstone charges. Sylar has the buyback, but he himself just can't do it against the double ultimate of the Lina.
But Sylar's got gold here. In fact, he's got a Demon Engine 4000.
I know you want to see it.
I know, we all want to see it. Certainly an MKB is a solid choice at this point, but it feels like he's going to buy something. Now still sitting on his gold. I guess he wants the buyback.
I think it's the option too. If you win the fight and you just immediately want to go for the throne,
yeah,
he'll have the option of going for the Divine Rapier if he wants. But it's going to be really telling. This next fight, if his team barely squeaks away with it, maybe he feels confident that he can get away with the MKB. But if they just get crushed here or they lose multiple heroes without the Storm having buyback, I think he's almost forced into that situation.
Yeah, it seems like he kind of, like you said, wants to leave his options open. And Well, a lot of it could be because he's not sure what direction Fear goes. Normally you do see a Butterfly in Phantom Lancer. Up to 6k gold, could pretty much buy it right now if he wants. But has not opted to spend that gold just yet. LGD still maintaining all their racks here. EG do pull ahead a bit after the Roche fight. But it feels like the gold swings we're seeing Blitz, for once there's no bounty hunter in the game, and they're just not gigantic gold swings. It just seems like it's going to come down to team fight execution and objectives for both teams.
I mean, all of these fights are so close. EG win the fight at Roshan. It almost looks like they're going to win the fight in mid. And then all of a sudden, maybe strolls on through, pops his ultimate, gets the triple kill, and evens everything out. Every single time EG get a fantastic fight, LGD just respond in force.
It is a heart here. Fear going ultra tank mode. Now 3,800 health, 28 armor. This guy is gigantic. Very difficult to burst him down.
Yeah, and PPD in that last fight, he was just a monster. He forced maybe to use all of his mana and get the suicide off just so that he could try to kill PPD.
And then Universe with the snowball save.
Exactly. It just takes him too long to commit. He's going to have to silence PPD, have vision of him when he's got that Glimmer Cape up, hex up Universe maybe? Otherwise, it's just so hard to burst people down. And Universe has that BKB Blink Dagger combination too, so the save potential is really high for his team.
I guess if you're LGD, maybe this is where you want to be more patient with your initiation, try to bait out the BKBs, and then you go with the second global. Because that fight, they had the second global, they just never saw an opportunity to really use it. We'll see an MKB in the end here for Sylar. Still 3,300 gold on top of this. He keeps up in terms of farm, only slightly behind the old man. And EG, with their Aegis, with their cheese, just using this time to farm up. In fact, LGD, the graph actually going a bit their direction since the Roche. But still, neck and neck the teams are down the stretch. It's only game one. And it looks like it could be a long one here. A lot of stress and pressure on both these teams. So maybe we'll now swing towards top. The whole LGD squad starting to 5-man more and more. And we're seeing the same from EG. They just don't want to be off on their own. These teams knowing any pick could be ever so costly.
They're pinging down this bottom lane. I think they do want to use the Roshan though. Like I said, their team is incredibly based on going for the objective, so they're going to send Sumail forward, but it's only 2 minutes left on the Aegis, and they can't really afford to fight without it, because if Sumail dies at the beginning of the fight without using any of his abilities, that'd be so disastrous. But
do you see them actually going bottom when there's already a tower gone mid, or do you think they rotate here?
I think it's just the positional advantage. You're already on that bottom side of the map. Pushing down mid might make your intentions too obvious to LGD, but if you notice, LGD, they're a little bit late to the draw. They can actually just go mid too.
MMY just sitting in the fountain now, and it's an eggs complete. A lot of damage to come from this. EG, well, they have not seen this one, Blitz. He's just hanging back near the fountain to ensure he gets the global, but now they initiate. Fisher onto Sumail, no globals yet. They're trying to bait out some BKBs. They know there's an Aegis, and the counterplay comes from Sumail, but a Rocket's going to drive him back, maybe. Stun, but no follow-up. Fear, he'll chip with the illusions here. The man in front, there's actually a DD room bottom. Little do EG know, would have really helped this siege. As LGD hang back and bide their time, waiting for the easy opening. They still have both globals ready. Very defensive posture, not even showing anybody up near the fight.
The mid lane is going to push in though.
The Aegis about to expire here, looks like.
Yeah, they know the Aegis is about to go down right now.
EG just not finding the easy opening. And LGD, maybe they just go in as soon as this is down. Sylar's going to hold the mid lane. They push that one in. Still Heroes Park bottom and nobody committing. Maybe they get a range Rex out of this. Sumail trying to draw their attention towards the bottom lane as maybe balls in. Everybody just looking to bait spells out. Nobody wants to be the team to go first, but it's Fear. Sending the illusions, getting machine gunning down the tower. Sumail just lays into it. They get a ward up on the high ground. Ping's coming out. They will deward this. But already, EG doing the structural damage here. Doing it for free. Haven't fully cracked the base just yet, though. That Aegis about to wear out.
Taking a tower and a Rax here is fairly significant, but it doesn't really.
And the illusions are going to go in that range Rex mid. Looks like they will be able to grab it. There's the initiation. Hook. And now they go on to PPD. Global number one. AUI going to cleanse it off there with the Greaves. Looking for the BKB Black Hole. Is he going to find it? The Black Cannon not doing a whole hell of a lot here. And they even go to Sylar. Once they lose the Earthshaker. Now on to Sylar. EG finding their openings. Another Laguna. Destruction from Sumail, and maybe able to ball away. They buy back on the gyrocopter. In that mid lane, the pressure has continued all the while. It might be another range Rex falling here. Fear will get it done. And now EG zero in on a potential double lane of Rex. The melee will drop. LGD, when does their final They have another global here, but Sylar's not killing him off fast enough. Snowball baited deep behind the towers as Universe engages. Fear's gonna rush in with the double. Going man mode on Sylar. Maybe just finishing up the tusk for now. Where's the next target?
Showei's dying at the same time.
Not yet. He hooks his way to safety. He hooks his way to safety. Will survive, but it gives Fear the time he needs. He works again on the Rex. EG, eyes on the prize. Objective Gaming. 2 full lanes of Rex. Now claimed. And it's getting desperate as they go back in with maybe, but the counter could be here. The hook shot did not connect. Call down coming through. Sumail holding on, and now the black hole. Again with the Laguna. Sumail just crushing his way through these LGD cores, and it's more from Fear. Maybe finally getting off the kill, but then it's going to be a long death timer. They need to make something more happen. They silence, pull in Fear. They'll kill him off as well. It's a buyback on the Tusk. But EG, they've got 3 buybacks here. Every core, every hero that's dead can return to the fight. And Blitz, it seems like LGD are going to have to force something now.
I mean, AUI was just so patient the entire game with the black hole. They forget about it for half a second when they use the global silence to try to initiate at the same time. And then all of a sudden, he's right there, perfect positioning all game. LGD, they've used all their buybacks. They don't have enough Bloodstone charges on their Storm to insta-respawn. If they decide to wait and they lose one fight or one core in their base, they lose the game. They have to go for it here.
Keeping an eye on those buybacks as this crucial push mid is going to mount. There are 0 available on LGD. They're all in on this push. Now, there is no black hole, but there's also no global silences. It's basically a death push if they continue to commit down the middle lane. It's win now or lose game 1 for LGD. As long as they stick around. And they're starting to get a bit hesitant. You can see from their movements backing off, fighting up against the seemingly endless wave of Peel Illusions, not committing for anything. And LGD will be rebuffed without even getting to the high ground. This puts them in a grave pit. Like you said, Blitz, just one bad fight, even just one slightly bad pick away from losing this game 1.
I mean, the only person that really uses buyback there on the side of EG was this Universe Tusk, but he's not essential to the base hold.
Well, and the Phantom Lancer.
Yeah, if anything, he's more just of a defensive hero. It's really Sumail. He's got 6,600 gold. He's going to have a Hex completed. Maybe he's gotten away with this greedy build this entire game, but he might just be forced into getting a BKB. He's got that gem, so he still has 1 item slot, but you can't really afford, as a Stormstreet at this phase of the game, not to have a BKB once Sumail has that Hex. He'll instantly punish you every single time, and EG, their entire team is stacked up.
Look at this, Blitz. A Bloodstone Enigma. AUI is just, he's Scrooge McDuck right now, bathing in gold coins.
It is a good item that he can go for. It could potentially save Fear if he just decides to use a Suicide, because AUI has the buyback readily available for himself. If you win a few fights, you build up some Bloodstone charges, you secure not having to use buyback in the late game. Just a decent choice all around. It's better than relying on the Aghanims to all in on that black hole, but EG, all they have to do right now is siege that top tower, and if they happen to catch any of the cores, the game is just over.
Well, Roche is coming soon. In fact, it's in 2 minutes as the rocket flies out. It will scout Fear, who's marching down the middle lane, but it doesn't see the rest of the heroes. LGD are kind of setting up here on the high ground. They're in a decent position, but they allow EG. They allow EG to breach, and now they go in. The hook to counter, though. A beautiful catch by Shellwade, holding them in position. Sumail throwing himself up in the air, trying to survive. Now the balling for Maybe. He's found the opening. Where's that black hole? Still holding it. Let it go! But it's canceled immediately. There's the global. AUI's going to fall. Sylar is going to drop next. Maybe could additionally join him as Yao does what he can against Sumail. It's not quite enough. Now they use him again. Where's that stun? They get it, and he's down 9, finished. He's out. He's out for 63 seconds with no gyro for 110. EG has done it. They're taking game 1 here against LGD, and the crowd roars their approval here at Key Arena.
What a close game this was the entire game. This is the only phase of the game where there was a 10k net worth lead for EG, but they still managed to do it. This is the first game we might have just seen them go for the push without that vaunted 20k advantage. They said, we feel the advantage in the cooldowns. Our timings are better. EG walk away with the victory.
And they had faith in their execution, the team fights. And you mentioned it, so many great saves by the supports, by the Tusk of Universe, the Graves of PPD, the Guardian Greaves from AUI 2000. They were patient, but not too patient. And with that, the analysts will break it down as we get ready for game 2.
Thanks very much, LD. A breathless 1-hour game opens up things in the lower bracket final. We've had a little bit of a change of personnel. We've upgraded from Wagger to Black. He'll hate me for saying that as well. Former TI 2 and 3, I think you played both of those, didn't you, for Mouse Sports? Yeah. Welcome to the panel.